Hello everyone. We haven't spoken about what's happening in the real estate in India for quite some time. Even though we plan to have at least one video done every 6 months, somehow we couldn't do the video in the month of Jan. But I'm compensating that mistake now. So after 1 year, we have the real estate expert coming and talking to you about the developments which are happening in the real estate pan-India. He's going to quote a lot of statistics to prove what's going to happen. I'll listen to him carefully. Real estate is of immense interest to everyone, including the NRIs. And there is so much you can learn from the expert of the day, Mr. DB Mehta. This is NRI Money Clinic for you. And I am Dr. Chandrakant, but your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Are you an NRI living outside of India for more than 10 years? Have you dreamt of a retired life in India in a beautiful house and a lifestyle of your choice? Your dream can come true only when you take some simple and effective actions today. I will take you through a step-by-step process to make this dream come true in my webinar, Stress-Free Retired Life in India. Hello, I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, financial guide and founder of YouTube channel NRI Money Clinic. I have to my credit creating secured retired life for thousands of NRIs spread across more than 60 countries. If you have an intention to make your dream retirement come true, register for my webinar. More details are in the link below. Dear viewers, to talk about the real estate, we have with us today Mr. DB Mehta. He is an authority on real estate, a realtor himself, an ex-IRS officer, a seasoned businessman, a seasoned investor. He has been the past chairman of Mangalore Stock Exchange. He is the current president-elect of Credai Builders in the state of Karnataka. He has varied interests in stock market, automobile dealership, wind energy, and several others. You ask him any question about any topic, in the middle of the night, he sits up and he answers it. That's the caliber of the speaker of today. Welcome to this episode, Mr. DB Mehta.
Yeah, thank you for your kind introduction.
Sir, you are a keen observer, practitioner of real estate investment. What's happening? You spoke to us 1 year before. What has changed in 1 year in real estate? A brief introduction to get started, and then we'll ask you the specific questions.
Before I reply to your question, I like your phrase keen observer. I have used this phrase keen observer into a business opportunity. To spot an opportunity, the talent you should develop and you should have is observing. The minute you observe, you will spot an opportunity. Once you spot an opportunity, action converts that opportunity into profits. And I have been just doing that for the last couple of decades.
The difference between the winners and the losers or people who don't make out of it is the bridging gap of courage. Everybody observes, but who has the courage to take the first step?
Right? The benefit comes to that.
Even in stock market, we all talk about contrarian investment. So this is very low, but everybody wants to catch the fashion of the day. Nobody wants to catch the future fashion of the day because they don't know whether that will become a fashion or not. So you ride that wave only when you have that courage to latch on to what is out of fashion today.
See, when Narendra Modi became the PM in 2014, in 2016 I was addressing a Rotarian group. And the conversation came to, with BJP and Modi's new policies, which is the sector which looks the most promising. This was in 2016. And the sector I came out with in that discussion was to invest in all the defense-related stocks, whether it's in private or in public. And from 2016 to 2025, they have all gone minimum 10x plus, So this is the sense of observation.
And what made you take the decision on that day?
Because one thing I observed about BJP and Modi was sense of one thing is, Swarajya, means you should do everything within the country, you should not be dependent. And defense sector was one priority sector which BJP government took up, that we should have manufacturing more and more into India. And defense procurement should be, rather than import dependent, should be procured from within the country. And year after year, the procurement from within the country in terms of number of products and in terms of the value has been increasing year after year, and it's been shown in the balance sheets of all the defense companies, be it public sector or private companies. And that's been a good run now, almost a decade. And I feel a decade more is left for those stocks. So I am not advising here on this program,
Right.
because I am not a person authorized to advise on stock markets, but this is my observation.
Actually, that one decision of inward looking defense sector is a game changer from many perspectives, right?
It's definitely a very big game changer, and this will see what happens is from the street level to the national level, one who has the weapon has the power. One who has the weapon, his own weapon, sits on the highest table. India lacked that. Today, India is able to sit at a high table with developed countries is because we have the capabilities to develop weapons indigenously of very high efficiencies. And not only weapons, weapons and satellites go hand in hand. Because today everything is GPS driven, satellite driven. All your accuracy hits come through that only. And India has shown its prowess in both these sectors. And that has brought India to the high table, not because of our GDP growth.
See, even in the past, when you are procuring it from outside, you are open for arm twisting for everything. You are buying, but when you need it, you don't get a source code, you don't get the spares, you get arm twisted. So it was happening. Drain of forex,
Huge drain of forex.
right? And the rupee used to collapse. But if you see last 10, rupee has come down. Any emerging market for that matter, when you have a growth, the inflation will be there. Inflation creates a push up in the prices, and obviously that currency should come down. Nobody should feel that the India is becoming weak because the rupee is weak. We need a weak rupee to sustain ourselves. But the forex, instead of getting drained, today you are a defense exporter.
We are a defense exporter, and maybe in a couple of years' time, we will be the net forex earners in defense. Even now, we are buying a lot of defense imports, but maybe next 2-3 years, we should be the net forex earners in the defense sector.
That way, the current wars, what we had proved, what our capabilities are, and what's the vulnerability of the so-called defense superpowers.
It was a good opportunity,
Yes.
which came our way, and this will multiply defense exports in the coming years substantially.
And people will be happy to buy it from India because it will come at a much discount compared to
Discounted
elsewhere.
rate, and India is known not to be an arm twister. India never imposes sanctions on any other nation. So, you don't have those kind of uncertainties when you deal with the US or Europe. If you are buying from India, it's a good clean deal what you get from India.
Right. Coming back to our topic of real estate today, what has changed in 1 year?
There are basic changes. What I see in real estate that's happening is, in this last 1 year, a lot of commercial activity has picked up. A lot of commercial spaces have been taken up by what you call GCC segment, and this augurs very well for India. Now GCC, what it implies is the global companies, they are shifting their global corporate centers to India, and that brings in a China plus theory. It proves it right in terms of managing the affairs of the corporates also. Second, it proves that India has enough manpower available to handle global challenges by this corporate setting up GCC centers in India. And that's been the absolute change that I have seen in the last 1 year. And just to give you a figure, this commercial space taken up by GCC in India has gone up by 74% year on year. Whoa. Now that's the game changer, because this will create jobs also. We all know that Indian IT sector is facing some slowdown, and the net addition to the jobs is either stagnant or in some cases even negative. But that has been more than offset by this GCCs coming into India and taking up in terms of space, how much space they have taken. 28 million square feet in the last year. 28 million square feet, and that's a huge space.
Is it in any single pockets, or this is pan India? You see this is happening, or restricted to places
See,
like Gift City or...
Just to give you figures, 45% of that has come in Bangalore, which is a huge number.
Bangalore roads are full, but still this is coming up.
And if you look at Bangalore, Chennai and Hyderabad, three southern cities, 75% has come in these three cities. Only 25% has gone to NCR or Pune or MMR region. So the major beneficiary of GCC's investments is the southern three states.
Is it because of a correlation there because of the IT crowds over there, or is it because of availability of talent over there, or the previous infrastructure which is existing there?
Combination of all three. Because all these corporates which are driven, they are all IT centric. A lot of AI centric corporates are also setting up their offices here. So a lot of work on AI will be happening in India. So talent is easily available because of these three cities excelling in IT. Infrastructure is there. We can keep talking about traffic blocks and jams and all that, but basic infrastructure is available. Talent pool is available. Global talent pool is willing to come and work in the cities. Because you will need global talent pool also.
Of course, yes.
It's not that it will be totally manned by the Indian employees.
See, one of the observation is that in southern India, I can see from a population statistics a clear divide between northern half to the southern half, and a great divide between the eastern half and the western half. A clear observation of southern India is population is dwindling. Earlier, people used to have lots of children, and during our times, the concept of 2 children came in. Now you see 1 child, and the replacement rate is at 1.6, 1.7 in the entire southern India. So it may have consequences in the real estate in the sense that today people want luxury, people want larger rooms, people want room for the child itself. They are also working from home. Is it resulting in any kind of a trend in construction, especially from a residential construction space?
So what happens is, now I have given you the example of GCC. Okay. Similarly, you can even take an example of co-working spaces. Co-working spaces has gone up demand and actual take up by 28%. Now 28% is also a large number.
Even in our city of Mangalore, it has so much of a demand.
So much of demand. Okay. Now what does this do? This creates new job opportunities. Even if you do not have talent pool available, or there's a shortage within the city, talent pool from across the country is willing to come and work in those cities. Definitely they will need residential real estate, retail real estate, and all other associated real estate to go with. So there will be an overall development in the real estate sector, no doubt about it. Now I spoke to you about 28 million square feet. 28 million square feet is 280 lakh square feet. You imagine the number of jobs that will create, because one person sits in a less than 100 square feet. You see the scale at which jobs will be created.
Plus the job creation because of the construction itself.
That's all secondary job creation. So according to me, even if the government does not create those many jobs, this GCC factor and other factors in IT like AI and others, that will create an equal amount of jobs what the government put together will be able to create.
Right. See, when we talked last time, a year before, we were discussing the slowdown which has happened in the real estate between 2012 or 2013 till for another 10 years, 2020 to 23. And real estate was showing the signs of lesser number of launches, smaller inventory, and there was an uptick which was visible. What happened to that trend now?
So normally real estate trend is a 8-year cycle. So what we saw was, till 2020-21, starting from 2013, real estate was in a slowdown. And post-COVID, 2021, once COVID came under control, the cycle also came to an end, and it was a coincidence. And post that, real estate started picking up. It's a 8-year cycle. So if it started in 2021, I am 100% confident it will go up to 28-29. And the last push, which is the sharpest and the fastest, happens in the last couple of years. So I still feel that the last wave of the real estate bull rally is yet to unfold itself, and that may give you a decent profit of around 15 to 18% per annum basis. And stock market normally completes the cycle before the last phase of the real cycle happens. So more or less stock market cycle is over. You can expect muted growth at a index level. Sector wise there can be good returns, that's a separate thing, but at the index level you may not see a very high rate of growth in the equity investment.
But it's everybody was talking about because of this war and everything, the market goes down. Sensex from 86,000 dropped all the way to 72. But it appears puzzling, the up move where we see Sensex at 83,000 and the money which was going out of the country. How did he suddenly started coming back to India?
See, there are two wars which happened at this, in the recent times. One was the global arena where, Russia, Ukraine is there, and Israel,
Gaza,
and the Middle East, and America also joined in. And the other was India, Pakistan. My take on this is every war creates new opportunities.
That's because of the destruction and reparation.
Both. And new fields emerge as the winners. So, say like defense sector. Just post India-Pak war, defense stocks have given almost 35 to 40% rate of returns. Some have even doubled in 3 months. Now that was a very, very low-hanging fruits available. That India's defense equipment proved itself. It got an opportunity to prove its efficacy, and it proved brilliantly. And the obvious thing was, whatever defense equipments which have been used will be required to be replaced, plus India will get export orders based on its efficacy. So double demand will move in, and that will get discounted in the valuation of those companies, and that got reflected in just less than 3 to 4 months. So according to me, every disaster, maybe a man-made disaster or a natural disaster, creates an opportunity. You have to just identify the sectors and invest in it.
Right. Do you have any statistics to quote at this point of time to support our argument about what we feel about real estate? You quoted the statistics of commercial side. Can you quote some statistics pertaining to the residential side, like how many projects have been launched, what are the square feet which is being constructed, the unsold inventory? Do you have any statistics to quote there?
See, last 3 years, real estate, uptake in terms of number of apartments has been growing at an average CAGR of around 20%, 3 years in a row. This first half has shown a slight slowdown in that uptake, and we have seen only 2% more uptake than compared to year-on-year basis in the first half. So that obviously that will happen. You will not have a linear demand kind of a situation. There will be slowdowns, and again it will start picking up. So that's one aspect. Other aspect you have to look at it is within the segment. Apartments below 1 crore has shown a negative growth of 12%. Apartments above 1 crore to 3 crores has shown a positive growth of 18%. 3 to 5, 22% positive growth. Above 5 crores, 26% positive growth. So the high-end apartments are doing exceedingly well. And the trend will reverse again after a year or two, where the mid-income level below 1 crore, when newer jobs get created with all these newer commercial spaces coming up, GCCs coming up, the government's PMI scheme really bringing in more and more manufacturing within India. All that will create jobs, more and more jobs, and that will again bring in a huge demand for apartments below 1 crore value. So the sectoral shift will happen, but the demand will continue, the growth will continue. Now I'll give an example of Bangalore. In the first half, Bangalore has seen a negative growth of 8% in the number of units which got sold.
This year,
first half. Partly because of the government new policies and the e-governance which they have brought in, which is creating a lot of problems. That's one reason. Other reason is slowdown in the real estate demand, because the previous year the growth was pretty high. But the new launches in residential in the first half is up by 22%. So
it will feed for a future demand.
For the future demand. So we are definitely sure that Bangalore will do exceedingly well from the second half onwards. So Bangalore is one city which I foresee till the next 3 years will give you positive returns if you invest in real estate.
Very puzzling statistics of India is we call ourselves a poor country, but the demand for premium real estate is on the rise. And this is a story which is not we are hearing now. This is a story which is we are hearing from quite some time. So it means the number of people who can afford that kind of a constructions or that kind of an the cost means that there is a country within India, another country which can afford this kind of a price point and still want to go into that.
So I'll give you one more statistical point here. Apartments above 5 crores or houses above 5 crores. Last year, the total percentage in the overall real estate demand was only 2%. This year, it is 6%.
The apartments which are above 5 CR.
Above 5 CR. So you imagine the demand that is there for this. Like we have more and more billionaires coming in, more and more millionaires also coming in, and the high-end aspirational demand is very, very high and very robust. So I feel that this real estate boom is going to stay in for the next 2-3 years, and returns are still to be made here.
The demand for this high-end real estate, is it a need-based or it is an investment, purpose investment, or somebody who is buying into that kind of a real estate is getting rid of the real estate what they have bought previously? How does this actually you see is happening?
See, the high-end demand, according to what I have seen, is more of actual users based, where people are moving in from what they have right now to a better and a larger space because of the continuous economy outperforming globally as well. The income levels have risen tremendously. It is reflected even in the income tax payment, which has grown at a robust 18%. So personal incomes have gone up pretty high. And because of the higher income levels, people have become more and more aspirational. The second aspect what I see is the last couple of, RBI policy statements on the reduction of rate of repo rate. Now, repo rate has come down by 100 basis points.
Yes, in this year itself, 25 and half a percent.
So the borrowing capacity has gone high, tremendously. And that will fuel in further demand for both high-end as well as the below 1 crore category. Because now the purchasing power has gone up because of the lower EMIs.
In fact, the interest rates must have fallen much higher, but for the prevailing high rate outside of India, I think the latest report says inflation is around 3.5%.
Well, almost close to 3%.
So, an inflation of 3% and an FD rate of 6.5% is a disconnect.
See, that disconnect will get sorted out very fast. And that disconnect is happening primarily because of all banks are now doing a lot of retail lending, unsecured retail lending, where the rate of interest is pretty high even now. They are able to get an average 12 to 14% rate of interest. And, they are willing to take deposits at 6 to 7% because the spread is 600 basis points.
Net interest margin. That takes us to a very interesting argument. In our mutual funds, people talk about an expense ratio, between direct and regular, which is 0.5%, 0.6, 0.7 at the most it will go. I always ask people that you should compare the expense ratio of a bank fixed deposit.
I'll just give a simple example. You look at public sector banks or a large private sector banks which does not rely on this unsecured retail finance. On saving bank account, they are offering 3.5%. But you look at the private sector banks where the portfolio has 30 to 35% of retail lending. On SB account, they are offering 6 to 7% even today.
So, which means they have a demand and the cushion is there. But will it result in delinquencies?
Not right now, because the economy is growing well, salary levels are increasing better, and delinquencies are just around 2 to 3% higher than regular delinquencies. Now, when your margin is 600 basis points, and if you have 200 basis points more delinquencies, you are still making 400 basis points, which is a very, very high rate of returns.
So the turn will come when you are not able to lend to the retail and the margins will squeeze. That is where they
That
have
is
to go
where-
back on the FD rates.
That is where when all these private sector banks will start bringing down both SB rates and FD rates to a very nominal level.
See, the last interest rate cycle, we saw the FD rates coming down to 4.5%. I've heard some banks even dropping to 4.25. Now, you being an observer of these interest rate cycles and the various cycles, where do you see the current interest rate cycle in this cycle is heading to?
See, the repo rate right now is 5.5%. It will come down in the next 18 months to 4.5%.
Okay.
And the FD rate should not be more than 5.5%. The 100 basis point above repo rate will be the FD rate.
Right.
So I don't see, right now banks are offering FDs at even 7.5%, which is 200 basis point more than what it would become in the next 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So right now there's a 100 basis point premium going on FD rate because of this very high retail lending which is happening. And that will cool down, and interest rates will also start cooling down. So next 18 months I see housing rate around sub 7%, maybe 6.5%, and FD rates also coming down to 5.5%.
In the longer time horizon, let's say 10, 15, 20 years from now, you have seen the Indian markets for literally 3 decades now.
Yeah,
Right?
that's ridiculous.
Do you see the interest rate stabilizing around the current level? Let's say take the 5% as the fulcrum. Will it move above that, or is it likely to move lower as the time passes
See,
further?
there's a strategic shift in the policies of RBI. Attacking inflation is the uppermost policy decision of RBI in the last couple of years, which was never there before. So I don't see RBI allowing inflation rate to go out of hands. And I feel that lower interest rates will be a norm. Higher interest rates will be an aberration, which is exactly the other way around a decade back,
Right.
where lower rates were an aberration and higher rates were a norm. So I feel that this will be the policy going forward, where the lower rates will be the norm.
So we can expect longer periods of low rates. Low rates means it is not compared to what's seen in the developed world, but from what we have seen in India from 14, 9, 10, 8, 7, 8. So it's a constant down cycle what we
And
are observing.
what happens, with the lower fixed deposit rates, there are two sides arguments on this. One is that people who are relying on FD interest as the source of income, they are getting pinched. But what I foresee is, as it has happened in the developed world, more and more money will move instead of in the FD to the investments in equity market, or even in the real estate through REITs. Everyone need not invest in real estate buying physical assets. They can invest through REITs also.
REITs are there.
Yeah.
If people are worried about future falling rate, they can use the annuities, which will give them a guarantees for
Annuities are
lifetime,
there,
right?
InvITs are there, REITs are
Yeah,
there.
see,
Different
if
options
people are
there.
looking for fixed income, they should look for these avenues. It's just not the stock markets alone. But the downward cycle of interest rate is a positive for the real estate.
It's definitely a positive for the real estate.
So people's affordability increases. Fence sitters can come and take up the
See, just
properties now.
before COVID, the price to income index was around, I think, 18 thereabout. Today, the price to income ratio, price of the real estate, in Delhi is 14. In Mumbai, it's 10. In Bangalore, is 8. Now imagine from 18 you're halved. So your incomes have moved much faster in the last 1 decade or less than the cost of the real estate. So it's become more and more affordable, and the lower interest rate is just adding to that affordability index.
See, we practice with these NRIs, and I know what exactly happens. We have lots of clients from companies like Google, Amazon, all these big companies. And these guys want to come back to India. Companies are too happy to send them back. Let's say if you are getting a 2 crore salary there, so they will reduce it by about 1/3 or so, and they'll send it back here. So it's a good money in India, and people are also closer to their families. And it adds to the economy here, and the demand what you see in the higher segment could be because of these kinds of people who have come in. So it is creating a win-win situation for the company which is sending from there to here, for the person who is coming from there to here, to the real estate here. The wealth effect is being felt because of this.
So I'll
particular
give one figure which JLL has published, and it's a published figure, so I can quote their name also. The total real estate market in 2024 was around $330 billion. And JLL is estimating in 2030 a $1 trillion real estate market. $1 trillion. They are expecting, this is both residential, commercial combined. They are expecting real estate market to grow almost 3 times in the next 5-6 years in terms of volume.
That explains the capital appreciation which is happening. And even for somebody who is investing even today, it's not very late, you feel.
I think one rally is still awaiting for the investors who are moving in right now, and that rally will give investors a better rate of return than maybe other sources.
One puzzling aspect of real estate in India is it stands in contrast with the real estate of developed world. In developed world, you go to any part, your borrowing costs and the rents what you get match each other. Let's say you go to Dubai or you go to Europe, you go to US, Singapore, wherever it is. Instead of paying rent, it makes sense for them to buy the property, pay the EMI, because both are one and the same. You pay the rent, it's washed away. You pay the EMI, you are creating an equity in the property. But that's not the case in case of India. In India, the rents remain low. The property remains so high, and this aberration has never got bridged. Do you see any signs of this at least coming closer to getting bridged?
See, that's the difference between an economy that's developed, where the incomes are high, where the rentals can be paid at a higher level, and a developing country like ours, where the income levels are still comparatively lower. So the capacity to pay rent is also low. So that is one factor of it. So as our country grows from 4.5 trillion economy to maybe 10 trillion economy, the income levels will also skyrocket. And if you look at global real estate, for housing rate of interest in the developed world, today it is between 5% to 7% even in the developed world. And if we are getting here at 7.5%, we are not so far off in the rate of interest.
Yes.
Where we have to bridge the gap is in the rental yield. Rental yield gap will be bridged only if our per capita income keeps increasing. And that will happen over a period of time. So it's still a long wait. It can't happen overnight.
So which means real estate remains an investor's kind of a market than as a genuine buyer's, because he still can't afford it and he still feels it's better to probably rent it out from an affordability perspective, or could be because of this floating crowd from moving from one place to another.
No, I would still suggest, don't fall for this trap of lower rental yield and never to buy your own home, because the cost of real estate will keep increasing disproportionately to the increase in the rent. And primarily because of our, rules and regulations for development within the cities, we have constrained the growth factor in the real estate. I'll give a simple example, what we call floor space index. If you look at our metros, it is between 3 to 3.5 to the maximum level. Floor space index. You go to any developed city like Tokyo or Singapore or Hong Kong or Paris or New York or London, it is anywhere between 10 to 25. So you can imagine, you can build 7 times more in the same plot. And why we have fallen into this inverse trap is because government is not spending so much on creating civic infrastructure within the city area. Because of that, we are not able to increase the FSI. Because the load on the civic infrastructure will be too much. It won't be able to handle. Our roads are narrow. It can't take that much traffic within the city area. Right now only we are seeing, chock-a-block on the roads. So because of this poor spending on city infrastructure, we are caught in this reverse, kind of a bind. So as governments understand this and keep spending more and more on civic infrastructure, we'll be able to create more and more real estate space within the heart of city.
Right.
and we can ease out the situation.
Right.
Right now, there's a huge shortage of the real estate space within the city. That's why we are going 40 kilometers away.
One last question for you. Only you can answer this question. A lot of our NRI viewers keep asking me the question: what's new in real estate? What's the new technology, new trends in the construction? What is that they can expect to hit the markets in next 5-10 years, which they can expect? A lot of NRIs want to retire in India. One of the things we keep telling them is don't buy real estate so early that you want to retire 15-20 years later. Don't buy it today. One, you'll get a brand new real estate. Two, technology is improving. Contemporary things will come. So what is that from as a builder? You have to tell to the future retirees, the NRIs who are coming to India, the new trends which are emerging, new technology, new things to observe when they buy the properties.
See, what I foresee now happening is one is more and more land pooling schemes will be launched by various states where newer cities can be created like satellite towns, and that can only happen through land pooling where common infrastructure is created by the government and its agencies, and the land pooled, the landowners get the developed plots, and when the developers move in, the basic infrastructure is already there.
So these are planned cities.
These are planned cities because right now we are growing completely, in an unplanned fashion, and we are going further and further away from the city center. And the further you go, the poorer is the infrastructure availability. So that is one thing I am seeing. Second thing is because of the better technology and things, the time taken to complete a project is coming down. So today we can finish, each floor in 15 days or even less than 15 days.
Yeah, it can withstand.
It can be done, and as we move forward, it should be done within 5 days, So what
Will the
happens?
curing happens in such a short?
Yeah. Because different technologies or their products are available. Fast curing concrete is available. So what happens is this will aid more and more high-rise development. See, the norm earlier was for one floor, 1 month. So if you're doing a 50-story building, you need 50 months just to put up the structure. Now, if you can do it in 10 days, your time is reduced to 1/3. And if it is reduced to 5 days, you can imagine 50 stories, you can finish it in 1 year.
So it's just like, you construct a building on the computer, you construct it in the physical world?
Physical world. So what happens is that will aid and promote high-rise developments. You just look at the high-rise in a small country like Singapore. 2,200 plus high-rise buildings are there in Singapore. You take Mumbai, which is the city where you have maximum high-rise. Hardly 500 high-rise buildings are there.
In Mumbai.
So, unless and until we, see all these newer developments and newer technologies, we won't be able to bridge that gap. And that's happening now.
Right. Is there any specific trends emerging in retirement homes? Children are moving away. The parents will become lonely. They have a need of a community to live together. The health fades. All these things are there. Is retirement homes a new asset class under real estate?
Retirement homes are converting itself from a physical asset to a service class.
Okay, what does it mean?
In terms means you don't have to buy a physical asset to put your parents in a retirement home.
Okay.
You only have to pay a fee on a monthly basis.
Right.
So that becomes convenient for everyone, and it gets monetized in terms of either annuity returns or InvIT kind of a return by large funds coming and investing. And later on, there will be an opportunity for these retirement homes to get listed on the stock exchange for annuity returns or InvIT returns, because those large scale retirement homes are on its way.
Right. It's a new emerging trend.
It's a new emerging trend, and this trend is catching up even with tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where retirement homes are becoming a necessity now.
It must, because it's a major trend which is visible in the society and gets more and more accelerated as well as accentuated from a demand perspective and the societal changes which are coming in. The society is never going to remain same as it is today.
With retirement homes, what is happening is there's a vacuum there. Government has never got into this space. Some NGOs have been doing at a very lower end of the spectrum by providing some retirement homes for abandoned old people or poor people. But For the well-to-do class, there was a complete vacuum. Even in most cities, the vacuum exists. So this will be the new emerging sector where a lot of development will happen.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta, for bringing all these developments for the benefit of my viewers. And I'm very sure when we interact next time, you will give us the further inputs about the real estate. It's a fast developing story in India at the moment, and the initial changes are visible on the ground. If you are somebody who is trying to buy the real estate, it is essential for you to know what might change in next 3 years, 5 years. So be mindful of the changes which are coming in, and be a wise buyer and commit your money with all the due diligence. Thank you very much for your time answering all these questions that were there in my mind.
Always a pleasure to be on your program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dear viewers, hope the podcast we had today with Mr. D.B. Mehta gave you insights about what's brewing in the Indian real estate. If it helped you to understand the final points around the decision making for you, please do give me a thumbs up. Do share these videos with your near and dear ones, friends and relatives, and on all the social media handles on which you are connected with. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you with yet another expert in yet another episode next Tuesday. Till then, stay safe. Jai Hind.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.